an opportunity to get their 2 cents in, not the value of the opinion, just what we call it here. 1-877-464-2500, 1-877-464-2500. Again, this is not a contest between me and Roosevelt Johnson. This is an opportunity for his constituents, one, to have heard his interview and to get some of those questions answered that he would not allow you to call in and answer yourself. Of course, one of the stipulations he had on the show, which confused many, was that he said he would come on, but he would not take questions. Well, he had that prerogative. I honored that as a journalist to not allow people to call in while he was here throughout that interview. But what I did in kind, as for my listener and for his constituency, is I allowed over the course of 2 days prior to his interview for you to email me and to call your questions in. And I took out 8 or 9 of the questions, the best ones that I thought that were on point, that were timely, and that were concerning some of the events that took place over the recent weeks since he had become president of the city council. So the phone lines are blowing up. You can call in. And again, this is not a contest, folks. This is not, you don't have to grade me. You don't have to grade him. But just give us your 2 cents as to what were the questions and how he answered. And like the one caller that called in that, was very disrespectful, said that he answered them to the best of his ability. Maybe so. But, the questions, I think, were trite. They were simple, one-sentence questions. But from a journalist who's been doing this for 20 years, I look for people to answer questions. I didn't get any answers, in my opinion. Let's go to the phone. 1-877-464-2500. Maybe y'all were satisfied with the answers, but y'all elected them. Let's go to the phone. Good morning, caller. Your name, where you calling from?
Good morning, Tony. This is Marilyn Williams.
Go ahead, Miss Williams.
I just want to make a comment. I've always respected you and what you stood for. But I have a problem with the way you're conducting yourself and your profession as a journalist.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
You've always set the highest standards in everything that you undertook or did.
Mm-hmm.
And it appears that things have kind of gotten out of hand.
Well, Ms. Williams,
I think it's politically motivated, and I also believe that this thing has turned into a one-sided situation.
I have
a question. I have one question to ask you.
Go ahead. Miss Williams, you there? Miss Williams.
How much money has been invested in Soul Food Academy for this to take place on your radio station the way it has taken place?
What is she talking about?
How much money has Myron and a few others invested in Soul Food Academy?
Zero.
What have you been promised?
Zero. Not,
okay, pertaining to your black business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it appears that Booty's Catering got all the business.
Booty's Catering.
What have you been promised?
I haven't been promised anything.
Tony, I've always known you to be a man of integrity.
Miss Williams, let me answer.
I've always known you.
Miss Williams, let me answer your question.
I've always known you, Tony, to come clean. Stay away now.
I'm trying to.
But that's not the case in this situation.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Okay?
You can.
And I think, Tony, what you need to do,
ma'am,
because I know you are a religious person, and I know you have the.
Ma'am, I'm trying to answer your question. You asked me a question. Let me answer your question.
How much money, Tony, have you been promised?
I haven't been promised anything, and I haven't gotten anything. And that is the answer to your question. And you could call Myron, you could call Roosevelt, and you could call anybody else that you want to. I haven't gotten anything.
Bring integrity back to your show.
Well, you don't want to hear the answer. Let me take another caller, man. Miss Williams,
back to your show.
I'll tell you what. You bring integrity to how you're talking to me, ma'am. I'm trying to be respectful to you, but I haven't been promised anything. I have not been promised anything for the life of me. 1-877-464-25. This is a joke. Let's go to the phone. Good morning, caller. Your name, where you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Tony Brown. This is John Kilborn. I'm calling from Alexandria.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Tony,
yeah, let me say for the record, John.
You got a good show there, Tony. I don't know what we'd do without you.
Well, God bless you.
I got a couple comments I would like to make.
Go ahead.
Number one, in reference to why Roosevelt didn't want callers to call in, Tony, if you remember, when Roosevelt set up the interview, he said that he wanted the same type of interview that Ed and Myron had.
They took calls. They took calls, and they took calls, and not only did they took 2 phone calls during that interview. I got it on tape, and not only did they not take calls, but they didn't stipulate them coming on that they didn't want to take any calls. So they actually, they took a couple calls. They did take a couple of calls. And let me say this for the record, since Miss Williams, in her very emotional state of mind, I have not been promised anything, and the total investment from Soul Food Academy came out of my pocket and my business partner. Plain and simple. I have not done any catering business for the city. I haven't planned to do any catering business for the city. I would like to get some, but we haven't been promised anything, and that is the truth. Some people can't handle the truth. And the bottom line is, she's right. I've tried to be honest, and I'm being 100% honest in this case. You can call the city, you can call Roosevelt, you can call Myron, and you can ask him personally. No one has promised me anything. So I haven't done zero bit of business for the city of Alexandria. So now that I've said that, and John, let me say for the record, you did come in with Roosevelt on yesterday, you and, of course, Minister Mike Howard. I've allowed him to talk, and I've allowed you to talk. I want to allow some other people to talk as well.
Tony, I haven't said anything yet, Tony. Could I make one other comment?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, Tony, in reference to the young man that's trying to get some business, and he mentioned the insurance.
Yes, sir, $1 million.
Said that he called in, he had one of the questions. Number one, when the question was given to Roosevelt Johnson, I think that question should be given to Joseph Page. Joseph Page is the person who's over that. Well, I think that individual should sit down with Joseph Page.
The question to Roosevelt Johnson, Brother Kilborn, was simply, why did he do away with the Small and Emerging Business Committee that the council had set up for checks and balances to make sure that those people who got contracts with the city were, of course, honoring their agreement with the city by at least giving a percentage of that business to minority and disadvantaged businesses. So that was the only question that was to him. It wasn't about a question to Joseph Page, which we both were in agreement, if you could remember, that Mr. Page was doing a wonderful job. The question was, why did he do away with the committee? And of course, and he said something to the effect that he was putting it under another committee, or that he was not doing away with it. That's what he said in the interview. But the town talk had last week that was one of the committees that he cut.
You're right. He did tell you that he had given that to some other people, but he also told you, and I think Myron Lawson said on the program, that it's the prerogative of the president.
I understand
to surround himself.
But
with
Mr. Kilborn,
Mr.
Kilborn, and for all of the African American councilmen, we've had a majority African American councilman for more than 3, maybe 4 years. During the course of that, in a city again that is 55%, nearly 55% African American, for us to get less than 10% of the business, whether it's 8, and I remember with Mayor Ned Randolph, and I say this again, they spent $60 million. We got $400,000. That's minority businesses, and it was split up among 38 individuals. So the point is, if we're 55%, we're the majority in this city, and we can't even get any business from a majority black council in a city that's majority black. Where can we get the help? And these men, most of them have been in that council for several years. And that is the point. We are still, and that was that gentleman's point. He said, I've come time and time again, and every time I come, I do what they say, but when I come back, it's something else that they want me to do that financially puts me in the bind to where I'm not even able to do what they asked me to do. So it's a quagmire. Let me get some other calls in, Brother Kilborn. God bless you. Thank you for your call. 1-877-464-2500. Williams, I tell you what, God bless you, and I'm going to pray for you. And y'all pray for me, too. 1-877-464-2500. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. This is James calling from Clarkston. And look, I don't know if I want to say something after all this.
Yeah.
But simply I want to say this. My municipality is a little small town, and I'm on the board of Alderman.
Yes.
The first thing a politician got to understand, people want answers. They don't want particulars. They want, why can't I get my portion of this?
Yes.
That's what we're here for as politicians.
Yes, sir.
When personalities, God help us when personalities get involved.
Yeah.
Nothing get resolved.
And
I'm sorry that all this is going on in L.A., and I'm simply an outside observer, listen to the program, and I stand out of my mind, a young man from Boyce, I believe. Why can't they tell him, this is what you need from A to Z to get